ranked is fine. Ranked is good. It's just the damn cheaters and hackers in the game ruining it. It always comes down to that, like the hackers and cheaters. The CDL started and the map pool wasn't the best. They played for a month and now they have a month off. And now we're going to be back again. And the format of the league right now is weird too. It's a lot of bad things happening at once, and seeing like all the negativity, it doesn't help that either. I'm really hoping this second half of Black Ops 6, they turn it around, because you and I are having a lot of fun with this game. And the people we watch and listen to, they hate it. Very, very weird. Welcome everyone to episode 204 of the COD Casuals. We're your hosts, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing better than you, bro.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
So I'll apologize
Preface
in advance. Yes. I probably sound like ass, and it's because I got a cold, and like going into the New Year's, literally on New Year's Eve, and I think a lot of people have gotten this cold. A lot of people around me I know have it. So this episode, I'm probably going to sound really bad, and I'm going to keep the talking from me like just a tiny bit. So
right,
but we needed to keep up the content. So
well, yeah, and dude, we've got a lot to talk about, because I mean, you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on in the community. Unfortunately, a lot of negative stuff going on right now, but we've got some positives to look forward to this week. But yeah, bro, I mean, I was usually, you know, we let each other know if we're not going to be on, and I'm like, yeah, you know, Justin, he's busy. I get it. You know, it is what it is. We all have those days, and a couple of days in a row we're not busy. And then I'm like, damn, he hasn't been on in a minute here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, and the same thing with the double XP. You didn't finish out on it, and I was like, shit, dude. I was like, man, that's a bit of a drag. And then we were talking on, I think it was Sunday, and you're like, dude, I think we might have to reschedule, because as you guys know, we always record on Monday, and you're like, bro, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, it's pretty bad. And then Monday came around, and I'm like, what you feeling, bro? You're like, yeah, no chance.
Yeah. Well, and I told you sometime last week.
Yeah.
I can't remember when, but I was like, dude, I'm very sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I sounded worse than I do right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's crazy.
Literally last episode, I was like, we're hitting 70. We're hitting 70. Dead ass. We recorded that on Monday, right? And then New Year's Eve was Wednesday, I think. Was New Year's Eve Wednesday? Let me check.
Yes. New Year's Day was Wednesday, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So New Year's Eve was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, like, started coughing a bit more. I was like, oh, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I wasn't going to be on like New Year's Eve anyways, because I was doing stuff. Right. And then woke up New Year's Day, felt like awful, like body hurt, just coughing up a lung every single time. And then I haven't been on since. So literally the last episode, I was like, I'm hitting 70. Yeah. Or no, not 70, like 7th prestige.
Yeah, 7th prestige.
Also, too, like with this cold, I swear I'm processing like half of the stuff people say to me.
Right.
Like you'll talk to me and I'll only recover half of it. I'm like, don't really know what you said. I'm just completely out of it.
Yeah. And people are talking to you and they're like, dude, what's wrong with Justin? You're like, bro, I just don't care to listen to you at all right now. Like, the brain's obviously not functioning at full capacity.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I have to go to work. And I think people can clearly tell, like, when I'm just out of it.
Right.
It's very apparent when I'm out of it. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because usually, like, you know, you're always on your game and doing your thing. So, yeah, just seeing you, like, struggling the way you have. And like I said, when you had to reschedule, I'm like, wow, like, it must be really bad then, you know? Because, man, I've known you. I mean, man, we're talking over a decade. And yeah, you're always like, if there's something to do, like, and you're not feeling well, like, yeah, you're going to get it done regardless. Like, it is what it is. It sucks. But yeah, seeing you give up the double XP time, have to move the podcast time, you know, I knew it was pretty serious. So yeah, I'm glad you're doing a little bit better.
Yeah, I can at least somewhat talk.
Yeah.
Literally, I wouldn't have been able to talk on Monday.
Right,
if we recorded. I would have been coughing up like every single time.
It would have been a, ASMR video where you're just like whispering. You're like, "Hey guys, what's up?" No,
and then
never
coughing
talk
up a
like
lung.
right, right. Um, but yeah, man, it's good that you're doing better. I tell you though, dude, I've been doing okay. It's been a crazy like full week back. It's been like just hectic trying to get everything set with school and with work, you know. Um, I tell you this yesterday, a great story. I had this kid, well, apparently I didn't even know, but I'm just in the middle of teaching my last group of kids, which was 5th grade, and my 2 administrators come to my room, like, out of breath, and I'm like, "What? What's up?" And they're like, "Did you call 911?" I'm
Oh
like,
no.
"Yeah, right?" I was like, "No?" Like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, 911 got dialed from, your phone, from your classroom phone." And I look like, I just went and gave one of these to the kids. I'm like, "Did it now," you know? I was pissed. And then, you know, I we just stopped for a second, and then someone calls on the phone, and they're like, as the 911 operator, like, "Is we got a call from this phone, just wanted to make sure, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yep. Yeah, everything's fine." I'm like, I was about to be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking flip out at some kids right now because somebody called it." Um, but yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing ever that someone fucking did that. I was so pissed, and I
Gotta
went
be
and I
broke.
yeah, and I don't think, like, when I looked at them, they were all horrified, all those kids, so I'm like, I don't think it was anybody in there. There's some kids that are, kinda so-so, but no one would do that, you know? So, then I was thinking, I'm like, it was definitely somebody in my last class, my 6th grade group. I'm like, "And there's a couple of kids in there, I know they would do something like that." They'd think they're being so funny, and I, like, gave him a whole lecture. I'm like, "You do realize that there's no phone number on planet Earth that has those numbers after one another, because if you dial it and then even if you hang up, like, you don't even hear a ringtone, I'm like, you do realize they get notified of that, right?" And they were all just like, "Huh? What?" I was like I'm like, "Yeah." Like, come on. They're like, "Are the cops coming?" I'm like, "No, they're not, because they talked to me and I said, no,
Yes,
do
they're
not."
coming right now.
Yeah, they're gonna figure out who did it, and they're gonna take him out in cuffs. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, but I said, I was like, "Oh, yeah, the cameras." I'm like, "We got cameras in the hallway." I'm like, "So we'll figure out who did it." I was like, "So if you don't wanna come up anonymously and tell me who did it," I said, "that'll lessen your punishment." I was like, "But if you don't," I said, "then the cameras will catch you." I said, "Then you're screwed."
Mhm.
You're gonna have to there's gonna be some serious problems here, I was like, "With the police, probably."
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's like
you know
the, episode with Drake and Josh where they, like, had the parents had the cops and, like, take them and stuff,
Right,
put them in
right.
the back of the police car. So, what's that, show? Beyond Scared Straight.
Yeah,
It's
scared
like
straight,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it's not like, the end of the world, but,
yeah.
but seriously, though, I was telling him, I was like, "Man, if they came here," I'm like,
Oh,
"Dude,"
yeah.
I
It's
told them all the
serious.
whole thing. Yeah, yeah, and I told them the whole thing too. I'm like, "Look, guys, like, let's be real. We're in Lowell. Like, it doesn't even matter if we're in Lowell, but anywhere." I'm like, "Cops are busy here." You know what I mean? So I'm like, "Man, if you're over here crank calling them and then they come here and they think there's an emergency and there's nothing going on," I'm like, "Man, they could be out dealing with real stuff that's going on, not with your, foolish self trying to be funny and make a call because one of your buddies is like, 'Don't do it, I dare you.'"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Come on, man." So that was my day yesterday. I was so pissed at him. And then today we had a half day and it was like a professional development.
Mhm.
Absolute snooze fest. So nearly fell asleep during that. It was just like, again, um and our admin team, and they're like talking on and on about, numbers and data and all and what
Mhm.
we're trying to do, as a team and all, and I'm like
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Bro, just
What's
just let me go. Just let me go."
it's been a rough year, for 2025 for the COD Casuals.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
much
dude.
COD.
Yeah, right? I played a little bit. I've been playing a little bit here and there, keeping the hands warm. Um, Dude, it's been a bad 2025 period for Call of Duty. I mean,
Yeah, and it's only been how many days?
8 days.
8? Yeah, 8 days?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't we do doom and gloom, but I don't I'm curious what you think about this, man. I can't remember a time in prior CODs where the game and the whole, like, ecosystem of Call of Duty was talked about so poorly as it is now. I mean, there
Yeah.
is so much negative talk about the game and about rank play and about Warzone. And, like they did this whole Squid Games bundle that came out and people were upset about that. Um, and then, because I'm pulling up some stuff on Twitter, they're talking about, the challengers, like League is just pretty much dissolving into nothing. I mean, dude, there's very little positives that seem to be going around with the game right now, which I can't stand seeing it. Like, it bothers me so much because you and I both know when we talk how good this game is, to just see people just talking bad about it, and rightfully so because of the situation it's in, it's just like, it's a huge amount of wasted potential.
Yeah, and I think I said it last episode or 2 episodes ago of, like, it makes me worried that there's been so much hate, especially by big streamers, and like you mentioned, Nade straight up said, like, "I'm moving on to another game,"
Mhm.
because of mainly the hackers, and, uh, I don't know, it's been, like, a few episodes in a row where we're talking about hackers, and we keep saying, it's in ranked, it's in ranked. Uh, and also, like, our timeline, right, is mainly competitive COD, uh, but it's I the numbers don't lie, in my opinion, and we'll get to that later, but it's, affecting everyone at this point, and it's crazy because you and I enjoy this game, and we're having a lot of fun with it, but on the other hand, like, so many people, like, can't stand it. Um, it's just crazy. Yeah, I haven't, like I can't even, like, picture COD from back in the day, like, where it was most hated. Like, I
Y
think Advanced Warfare,
yeah,
maybe?
I
Oh, no, like, somewhere in the Jetpack era where remember it was like no, Infinite Warfare. It was like the most disliked Call of Duty video ever on YouTube or something. Uh,
I think you were right, though. I wanna say that was Advanced Warfare
was
because
it?
that was
It
the
was some
first.
Jetpack.
Yeah, I wanna say it was that because everyone had their idea of what COD was, and then when they saw jetpacks, people are like, "Oh, hell no." Like, they're going down a crazy route, and they're trying to turn this game into something that it's not and that it shouldn't be. Um, turned out to be, pretty good move by them, because people ended up liking it, but I feel like that was a little bit more like, and the whole thing that was divisive about Advanced Warfare and the whole jetpack era was simply that jetpacks. It was either people loved it or hated it. Um, and I think that's where like maybe there were like a strong minority that was hating on jetpacks. Um, but the game itself was maybe not that bad. I like jetpacks obviously, and I thought Advanced Warfare as a game was okay. But then of course going to like Black Ops 3, I think that's one of the best games ever, in Call of Duty. I think that's a phenomenal one. And I think that whole idea of jetpacks, they perfected almost there. And some people could say IW had the best jetpacks, but I would say Black Ops 3 killed it. But that idea of like having a divisive thing was just based off of something they'd done in the game. This is like totally unrelated to the game, you know?
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, so the stat, we have like our notes here. I corrected it because it went up, which is not a good thing. The article you saw and I saw too was at 40%, is now at 47% of the player base of Black Ops 6 have left and continued to play like, other games. And this was 47% of like Steam downloads overall, like since what, October?
Hmm.
Which that's insane. That is a lot of people. Like nearly half of the community that downloads Steam is just gone from this game. That is not acceptable. And if I was Treyarch, I'd be very worried. And maybe Treyarch is worried. Maybe Treyarch can't even do anything about it.
Right.
Um, it could just be Activision. At this point, we don't really know who to like necessarily blame or even like target.
Right. Yeah. I don't really know who it is to blame. I think like most people we know would probably go and point the blame at Activision. just because they're the biggest target, but they also have the most pull, as to what they do and what goes with the game. Um, and my question is with this whole thing is is it a level of incompetence from Activision where they just don't really care because there's enough people that are spending money on the game and on, the downloadable content or, any add-ons? Or is it that they simply are like they are really struggling, like they just cannot figure this out and they're trying their best, Like I'm trying to find a way to really word it. I don't know if Activision is trying to actively fix this or if they don't see it as big of an issue as everybody else is and they still see dollar signs coming their way and it doesn't really matter to them because we're in 2025 and the next COD's going to be coming out. So they're already kind of putting their hundreds of millions of dollars into that game, and are just
Yeah.
getting ready for that.
Yeah, the only thing is that very worrisome is that Treyarch is a beloved developer by specifically the competitive COD community. If they can't get it right, and this was supposed to be the year, and I still think this is the best COD we've had since Cold War.
Right.
Like, ever since we entered this 2019 era, um, this has been the best COD since.
Mhm.
And if Treyarch is failing, like everyone basically, what are the other developers going to do? That's very, very worrisome, especially if you play competitive COD and you're just in the scene in general.
Right. Yeah. I think what they had rumored that the next game was going to be, I believe it's going to be a sequel to this game. I want to believe that it's going to be some, Black Ops 7 or something like that, if whatever they're going to call it that. Um, but that's what I saw, I believe, a couple of days ago because they kind of broke down what it was going to be. It was going to be that, and then I think after that is going to be what what was talked about a while ago, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Infinite Warfare 2 or Advanced Warfare 2? It was,
Advanced Warfare 2.
yeah. So I think they're going to go to that in 2026. Um, and people, I saw the roaches online who are like, 2026 is the year. I'm like, shut up, dude. Like, we can't keep playing this game
Yeah, we can.
of saying that next year's COD is going to be the year. It's like, dude, what are we going to do about this year? You know,
This is
like
supposed to be the year with Treyarch.
exactly
They've been developing this game for 5 years. That
right.
and this game's good. That's what's so annoying. This game is good.
But it's just
And
got these hackers that ruin it, and it's like then that drags the score down and drags what people think about it.
yeah, and it I don't think Activision will ever do it because it'd just be dumb. But they should literally put out a poll like, do you enjoy this game or do you not? And I would love to see what everyone in the world would vote because all the very casual players I know that I've convinced to get this game, they all love this game. They've never experienced any hackers. I mean, they've experienced really good players and they're diving around everywhere, but it happens to everyone. And we haven't experienced any hackers. Granted, we're not in ranked and we're not highly ranked, but it's just crazy to me. The only people I see upset at this game are people that follow competitive COD. And then the everyday hater of COD, but I mean they should be mad. I'd be pissed too if we were playing ranked more and we're just in like the crim lobbies and every lobby we're loading into it's just hackers.
Right.
And I wonder how the hackers feel like hearing about this. They're just like, "Oh, it's working." They love it. And one thing is I want to point out is that Treyarch may want to fix this and like they know they're in a really bad state. Or Activision, they understand they're in a bad state right now. But I'm still gonna go to the point where even if they get rid of all these hackers, more are gonna come back. And
Right.
I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just comes down to having some sort of, anti-cheat that's going to be able to work. And there's no timeline on that. There's really no news on what is going to be done with that. They were touting the news about how they had, banned 50,000 accounts. And, like, clearly, they all came back, and it's just this vicious cycle of they're stuck and they're not really going anywhere, they're just kinda spinning their wheels, and I thought at first too, because of what you said that we have on Twitter, like, all of our feed is just competitive stuff, or the vast majority of it is, I should say. Um, I thought it was really just most of those people who were very loud, again, like the loud minority who was making this a big deal, bigger of a deal than it really was. But that stat that we had seen, that shows that it's really not. It's not just a minority, like it's a huge majority of people um, that don't like the game and are struggling with it, probably because of that,
Mm,
because if they wanna go and play ranked, they have to go deal with it, and I'm sure there's people who are even on, like, on PC that have to deal with it, and are in low levels, low tiers on ranked. I'm sure they still deal with that,
mhm.
like, that's for us. Thank God we don't have to deal with it
Yeah,
as
and
badly as them.
the thing I'm gonna point out too is that this is 40% of players on Steam,
Right,
so this is all just PC players.
right,
The majo Someone's gonna say, "Oh, there's, like, the Steam Deck." Okay, if you're playing COD on, like, a handheld, you know, good for you. That's insane
right,
that you can do that, but people on Steam are normally on PC. So, like, 47% of the players on Steam left and stopped playing Black Ops 6. That, to me, just shows, COD's just not thriving on PC. There's a lot of hackers, and it's on that side because you don't see the stat portraying, um, like, on console. Like, what is the stat for console, and what is the stat overall? Because we're obviously just focusing on PC, but we've said it multiple times, PC is kind of the problem, right? Like, there are hackers because of PC. I mean, there are hackers on console too, but it's just it's always been more difficult to hack on console.
right. And you can't forget too that PC is so much bigger than console gaming. It has in recent years there's been a massive shift. Like I could almost, you know, bet every dollar that I have that there's way more people who play Call of Duty on PC than there is on console. Just because of the sheer amount of people who have it and the amount of access that you have to it. It's the same thing, but all those, of course, they all pale in comparison to mobile gaming, which is like the biggest, no doubt.
Mhm,
Um, so when people say that, they're like, "Oh, it's, a little bit less than half the people on PC have left, like, there's still all the console people." It's like, yeah, you need to forget, though, that those are not apples to apples regarding group sizes. There's so many more people on there. So it's a huge amount of their base that they've lost. And I wonder if it sounds bad. I wonder if they really just don't give a shit because it's like, well, a lot of people that play the game, even if it's not the majority of the people, their main base of people that have bought COD since its inception, it was all console people because that was the only
mhm.
way you could play it.
Well,
So,
see, yeah, no, not to interrupt you, but that's
yeah,
like the like I think there are way more people that are still on console, like in the world at least, outnumber the people that own a PC and play on PC. But just because it's cheaper and whatever. But obviously now, I swear, like more and more kids they want a PC over a console nowadays. Um, but like you said, the majority of people that buy Call of Duty are probably from console
right,
and PC. Like the players will buy the game on PC, but that's a smaller majority of the. I mean, it's probably a huge number. Uh, the player base on PC, and they might just be like, "Oh well," like it's such a small percentage compared to everyone else on console. So
right.
what doesn't matter? Which I that's absurd to even think like that. But
Yeah, that's why I kinda say it's like, I don't know if I want to really believe that. I find that that would be, preposterous if they actually felt that way. Um, but then, in they all the stuff that they put out, like, it kinda flies in the face of what people would think that they're actively trying to do to keep the player base. Like, they put out that whole Squid Games thing I mentioned at the beginning, and people were excited for that for sure, thinking about the mini games and everything. And then people started, figuring it out and being like, dude, if you want to actually get all this stuff, it's a lot of money. Like I think I said it was what, $80? Yeah, $87. It's like, what the fuck? We've got we've got this game that is total. It's probably even different divisions, but still, it's all by Activision. It's like, dude, we've got a huge problem here, with the player base leaving because of a glaring issue. And it's like we've got a gunshot wound, and they're over here putting a band-aid, being like, "Oh, well, let's go and bring people in with this Squid Games thing, and let's make it a high premium for people to pay for because they're stupid and they'll pay for it." And I'm sure there are people who went and bought that and were stoked on it, and that's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we're playing on a game here. A lot of people are playing on a game that's totally screwed and it's broken. And then they're putting out content that's like, more than what the game is actually valued at, you know? Like it's an insane. I think it's just insane that they're doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And uh I agree. Like I don't think they're thinking like that where, oh, let's forget about everyone on PC. Um because that's just a huge number that I don't think they would want to lose.
right,
That's a
of
big
course.
player base. Uh but I do think that the majority of the player base for COD is on console, and it's all the casual players, right? And our feed in the competitive community is always saying casuals ruin the game, casuals ruin the game, blah blah blah, whatever. But this game was made for casuals. Not saying that the competitive side should be screwed over because it shouldn't. Um, but they're clearly, putting out like all this stuff for the everyday player. And everyone that I know that I've convinced to buy this game or just, try out, they all bought it on console and they all really like this game. And it just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me that Activision or Treyarch would just forget about those PC players. I'm sure they're trying to do something about it, but it's probably way harder to do something about it on PC. Um,
Right.
and that's unfortunate part, right? Like, if we ever got PCs and we have to deal with that bullshit anytime loading into like a pub, I'd be
Oh,
pissed. Like,
oh
well, what's the
yeah.
point?
Oh yeah. I mean, that would deter me from wanting to play Call of Duty on PC. Like I would be one of those weirdos who has a console and I'm going to play just COD on that, and then my PC I play everything else, you know? Like and the way the game is right now, that's, to me, that's not illogical. That makes sense. It's just it's so bad. And going back to what I was saying earlier about the level of, potential incompetency with them, that's what I don't get, why it's taken so long and why it's continued to be an issue. And they seemingly haven't really, I say haven't done anything about it. They're trying, I suppose. But it's just it's the PC player base is totally ruined on Call of Duty, and I think it's my worry is that it's left a bad taste in their mouth with this COD, and we dealt with this last year with them, and it's going to be like I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people next year who don't buy the game because they're hearing all this stuff right now, and they say, you know what, screw it, like unless they all of a sudden come together and really figure this out, and we've got a lot of these big names that come back and start playing the game and realizing that it's better. I think a lot of people are not going to play next year's COD. I
Yeah,
really
and that's obviously a big problem for
mhm,
like every COD content creator and everyone at Activision and the
right.
developers. Like, Call of Duty will never die, but if your big streamers and big, the Call of Duty community that's making content out of all this stuff, they all leave. That's a huge problem. Now you just have uh, the existing players that have always played COD that doesn't really watch any content, um, and then the average Joe that just gets back home from work, they hop on, play a couple games with their friends, and then they do that once, twice, 3 times a week, whatever. And that's it. Like, and they're still going to be there. They're always going to be there, but you're going to lose big personalities. And I don't like they can't afford that. They cannot afford to lose big personalities that have helped this scene.
Right. Yeah, they carry a lot of weight, for sure, and, you know, all the stuff that's going on right now, and especially too, like, we'll probably end with it later on, talking about some stuff that's related to the CDL, like, it just leaves a bad taste in these people's mouths, and they don't wanna go and deal with it again, you know, because 'Cause they've got so many other games that are coming up right now that are just, really banking on this collapse right now that Call of Duty and Activision are going through, and they're like, "Well, we've got a massive budget, we can go and put a game out here, we kinda are hearing what the players want generally, so let's give it a shot." Um, and it's worked out great for them, you know? It's like Marvel is not gonna be struggling if that game flops, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a bad
Mm,
move, and then they're like, "Alright, we'll move on," you know? But it's been a huge success, um, because it's just, it has the main things that people want, and it's also got game integrity, There's from what I hear and see people on Twitch playing it, like, there's, little to no inference with hackers or anything like that, and if you're playing at a high level, you need that. You need that level of security. And if you're gonna
mm,
have that and you're gonna be compromised like a lot of these guys have, that's why they just say screw it, you know? Um,
yeah, and I would hate to be like someone at Treyarch that's seeing all of this
oh,
and they
hate it.
can't say anything about it when they know the real answer and
I know it's
why.
fucked up.
Yeah, yeah, they know,
Yeah,
and I'm sure a lot of them that work there too are gamers, and they're like, "This is so annoying,"
right.
like we worked so hard on this game, and yes, of course, you worked hard on this game, but I'm sure there are plenty of them that are like, "This is messed up. We're trying to fix it," but you know, goes up the ladder, right? And it takes forever to get fixed. But yeah, I would say this Call of Duty, you and I are having a lot of fun. Like it sucks seeing so many people hate it, especially people that we follow and we watch, right? Like and the
Right,
CDL, it's going to be starting up again soon. And I just saw a short that like a clip of Scump from its stream, but it's like yeah, COD's in a weird state because it's all the damn cheaters. Uh, he initially said he was worried about Treyarch releasing rank play early because uh, you know, it kills the hype because they usually release it around February, the later half of the COD season, and then it brings everyone back again, right?
right,
But obviously, everyone that listens, like, they know that you and I are on the side of put ranked out as early as possible because rank should just be there, especially when the CDL starts. It should just be right there. And Scump said, ranked is fine. Ranked is good. It's just the damn cheaters and hackers in the game ruining it. And it always comes down to that, like the hackers and cheaters. And then he also mentioned that the CDL started and the map pool wasn't the best. They played for a month and now they have a month off. And now we're gonna be back again. And the format of the league right now is weird too. It's a lot of bad things happening at once. And seeing like all the negativity, it doesn't help that either. So I'm really hoping this, second half of Black Ops 6, they turn it around because like it's weird that you and I are having a lot of fun with this game and we don't even play with each other like all that much like in the same party, but we're
right,
enjoying it and the people we watch and listen to, they hate it.
right.
Very very weird.
Yeah, I definitely, I feel like the silent minority. That's been my thing this whole episode. I definitely feel like that right now. I love this game. I really don't find any flaws with it in my experience, and I can pretty safely speak for you. Like you said, we'll be just in a party chatting. We're not playing with each other, but we're just having a good time. And there's times where we're not even playing together or chatting together, but we're just logging in playing it. And that's a testament to Treyarch. And I think there's people too who they they direct their hatred towards Treyarch or anger towards them, and it's really not them, you know. And most people who follow logic, uh, would understand that and be like, "Yeah, of course, it's not them." It's really just Activision that's the issue. It's like the same thing. It reminds me of years ago, and even still, like I'll say years ago when it started, but still to this day, EA is like that. You know, EA has the same kind of issues where they've got a player base who want more from the games, and want to stretch their dollar more. But you get Madden where they just reskin everybody and maybe upres the graphics a little bit, and then they charge you $70, and it's like, bro, we're not getting anything new here, but the player base is speaking. They want whatever. And we're in the same boat. It's like, dude, we want this from you know from like the whole developer. We want this from Treyarch, and we want this from Activision. And Treyarch, for the most part, I'm gonna say not even for the most part, totally in my eyes, delivered. They made a great game. Maps are okay, but other than that, it's great. But it's up to Activision, the publisher, to really go and get a grip here and you know deliver on what we want. Um, and it's just a whole bunch of missteps. Like I'd had it in here a while ago because I saw it. I remember this YouTuber I watched, the Act Man. He talked about it, which I didn't realize it about that whole AI thing that I put in there, talking about how Activision had been using this. Not really Treyarch, is mainly Activision. Um, having certain people like voice characters or voice actors for the game that are not, they don't want to use them because they want to be paid. They don't want to pay them for it. And same thing with some calling cards and emblems that came out, like when they were doing the zombies thing, and they were all messed up. It was all like AI generated stuff. You could see zombies, they got like 9 fingers. And it's like, dude, this is clearly some mistake, that not an artist did. And it's like, man, we want these games. There's people out there that are really talented, passionate people about, making artwork, or, like think of like Nolan North from like, doing Richtofen and Nathan Drake. Like that dude's a beast. He wants to do all these characters. And there could be somebody out there that's like, you know what? We don't want to pay you. We're going to use like AI voice generated to do it instead because it's easier for us and we save money. And to them, that's a win-win, for
Mhm.
Activision. They probably are like, well, we didn't have to spend that money and people are still going to buy it. But for us and those people too, the guys doing it, guys and girls who do that stuff, they don't, get paid. They don't get a job from it. And then from us, we get lesser quality stuff. And
Mhm.
it's like, this to me seems so black and white. I'm like, this is not complicated, but they don't acknowledge that. They just go on and they still are, I think there's got to be a real problem. There's going to be a real problem with that as time goes on. It's going to be people losing jobs because of it. And there's going to be a lesser quality if they don't regulate this somehow.
Yeah, and I mean, AI is like a whole other topic. Like, I think
Crazy.
AI it's really helpful, and I mean, people are going to lose their jobs over it because it's just going to end up leading to that. But
Right.
personally, I don't think AI is even like, I don't think we're close to that yet. Like, I think this may sound crazy, but I think actors, like voice actors, if anything, they're more important now with AI because AI right now, like it's still at the point where, yeah, it may sound like a little bit real, but you can clearly tell if it's AI. There are flaws in it, and it doesn't have the personality of a voice actor. It may get close, but it never will have the excitement and personality and voice tones of that voice actor, and that's a way those actors can differentiate themselves. But AI should be used to help, like, inspire them. You know what I mean? Like, Activision shouldn't be. They can create AI art and be like, oh, this is cool, but AI art sucks right now. Like, you can't just put that in the game with like a soldier with like what 20 fingers
Right.
and be like, yeah, yeah, this is good. Like, no, how about, okay, you like this idea, go get whatever graphic designer, some artist to do something with this, like,
Right.
and yeah, like AI is not at the point where any of that stuff, they can just ask AI to do it and then put it in the game. It's just not.
Right. Now, I totally agree. And that's why I worry, because you're right that it's not there yet. Like the technology should not be used like that. where it's going to be replacing people just yet, all because of the points you just mentioned. And the fact that they did that and, kind of dipped their toes in the water to see if people would still buy it, and people did, that's where I'm like, oh man, like it's a slippery slope, you
Mhm.
know? Because they did that with some of the people in zombies. They went like for that the new map, they went and replaced some of them with AI. They got rid of
Mhm.
some of those people because they didn't need them, you know? And I think part of it is what you're saying, like, because I see them all the time. I know everybody does too listening. You'll see those like things of, I don't know. I can think like Joe Rogan. You see him, sitting at his
Mhm.
podcast and he's talking and it's AI. And it's like, okay, clearly that's not him because the voice, it's pretty damn close. Some
Mhm.
people do really good, but his mouth maybe isn't lining up. But then my question is, when you're doing stuff that's not real people, like it's all animated, it's it's like you could get there. You could get pretty damn close to a person, like probably within 90% of them. And it wouldn't look that weird because you've got, some animated character that's not real, and you
Mhm.
just put the voice over it. And there's people out there that just, they wouldn't even think twice about it. I probably wouldn't think twice about it either until you know, you told me this guy is AI, you
Mhm.
know, unless you did a
Yeah.
direct side comparison. You're like, one is a real person and one is voiced by AI. Then I could figure it out. But if you were just played, you're like, hey, we got this new trailer. What do you think about it? And it's like all AI. I'd be like,
Mhm.
I wouldn't, it wouldn't even cross my mind, you
Well,
know?
yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I don't think since it's so new, none of us are taught to think about if this is AI or not.
Right.
But uh, AI will get really, really close, especially in video games with the voice acting and stuff. But it, if you actually pay attention to it, I think anybody can figure out that this is actually AI. You
Right.
know, but like you said, when I'm playing the campaign and stuff, I'm not listening to that. I'm paying
Right.
attention to the storyline.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, this is part of it, like Activision's like whole thing and how they're basically being scummy, right? But um, yeah, I don't. It's just weird that this game is hated by so many people when this game should have been the year. And there have been plenty of times where big creators were like, I think this is the biggest year for COD because if they fuck up, it's not going to be good for them overall. We all know the next year it's probably going to be the most like bot game again. Like it always is, but there's going to be a big community of people, uh, older community that's probably like, you know what, I am done. Maybe I'll try the game for like a little bit and then I'm out. You know,
Yeah.
and I said that a couple episodes. I said that I was worried that people like Octane, people like um Scump methods like Nade, like the guys that we watched that played competitively are talking this poorly about COD and they're just straight up leaving now. And they're not even talking about it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
That's a problem. And it sucks when we're viewers and fans of them and they've kind of just given up on, this whole thing.
Right. And again, to your point, it's going to keep on going. But if they don't figure this out, I think it's going to be definitely noticeable next year. I think again, closing out like on the top of the episode saying it, it's like, man, this has been a time that I can't really remember happening in Call of Duty. And the fact that this is happening now, and there's very little positives that you see people talking about with the game online, and statistics thrown around, and there's just again with Activision, all the difficulties and things that are going on, controversial. It's leaving a really bad taste in people's mouths, and I think people are finally kind of waking up to it, where the consumer is being like, "You know what? I'm not gonna pay $70 for your game next year." There's always gonna be those people though, of course, like, not saying that, COD, like you said, is not gonna be a top selling game. Of course it is, but it's going to be that prolonged, you know, uh player base, and then just people funneling money into the game with all their bundles and other purchases. That's where I think going forward they're really going to struggle if they don't figure out their problems right now.
Yeah, because there's always going to be the very, very casual players that hop on, like I said,
Right.
every now and then, play with their friends, and and like they're always going to be there. But I think people like our age, not older, that played what COD was when it was first, created
Mhm.
and what it turned into, I think a lot of people are going to slowly drop off. If not, like, I know a lot of people have dropped off already, but
Yeah.
like, if you look at our comment sections in any of our TikToks or any Instagram stories, like, it's people arguing, or, we've gotten many comments from people saying, like, I just don't understand how you guys still like Call of Duty.
Right.
And I mean, that's totally fair. Past couple years, not the best CODs. I mean, it's what you
Right.
make the most out of it. Um, and you got to find like the good things within the game. But this game's good.
Right.
Like, uh, someone made a comment on Spotify, which by the way, like, go do that because we go and like engage with every comment.
Mhm.
Um, and I like the conversation. But someone said that they really don't like this COD. They don't like the bullet recognition, uh, the aim assist is weird, the um, obviously the hackers, stuff like that. But I mean, I responded saying like, "Oh, well, this is like Cold War. A lot of Treyarch games, it takes a lot longer to kill an enemy, so that's why I think ping matters a lot more in these type of games. Where you and I, we don't complain about ping all that much, but in these games, there's a difference between 30 and 15. There's a huge difference because it takes so much longer to kill in these games. And you're going to feel that if you play COD a lot. And
Right.
there have been plenty of times where you and I are playing, we shoot someone and we die first somehow. And it's because our ping is just off, It matters a lot more in this game. Um, some people hate that, right? And you and I like that. But overall, this game is a good game. I know a lot of people like the Infinity Ward games, Sledgehammer games, where you just look at someone and you hit them with two bullets and they're instantly dead.
Right.
Like, that is not Katas. That's never been Katas. So it is weird that you and I really like this game, and a lot of people do not. They hate it.
Yeah. And it's just, like I said, some of those things, it's just preference too that people like about a game and don't like. But there's definitely people that hop on the bandwagon of hating on a game just for the sake of hating on it because everybody else is. Uh, and that's why I like you and I because we just don't give a shit. We're like, look, this is our experience with the game.
Yeah.
We like the game, and people, I don't care how many motherfuckers are on TikTok and Instagram, being like, dude, you're faded. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. I'm like, trust me, bro. Like, I know what I'm talking about. This is my experience. I'm not saying that I'm not speaking for everybody. Like, I'm speaking for, like myself and maybe some people that are on console for sure, in our realm. But yeah, it's again, I don't really know what else to say on it. I mean, it's just a tough time for sure,
Hmm.
that the game's going through. There's like I said, a lot of people that are kind of falling off with the game. Um, and I think the last thing we could talk about too, just because it's going to be interesting stuff we could talk about next week, is we got the minor, our first ever CDL minor coming up, and it's like I can't remember who I saw online was talking about it, but they're like, dude, I feel like there's zero hype going into this, and I'm like, yep,
Yeah, there isn't.
because all you hear people talk about is all the negatives about the game. And then they've also got to sprinkle in, hey, that game that you hate, we're having a big tournament for it. Like,
Yeah, a
please
minor
tune in.
tournament.
Yeah, minor. Yeah, it's not even a big tournament. We're not the major yet. It's like it's a little small one. Please go watch
Hmm.
it. Like, we'd love to see it. You know, there's a. I'm sure. I wonder what the viewership's going to be. I think it's going to be still like fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was funny how it's just flooded with, hatred. And then we all remembered like, oh yeah, this is coming up. So it's gonna be good to see the CDL, back after we just got a little taste of it. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I had it pulled up. Yeah, I did here for some of the games because obviously by the time you guys listen to this, they'll already happened. But we don't have a pick yet for Breach as to who they're going to be playing because they're
Mhm.
starting in winners, right? Or whatever. I don't know how the bracket works if it's doing that winners losers or something like that, but um, it's going to be like some okay games that are coming up. There's some that are not really great. Um, Surge and Cloud9 is gonna be a good one, and then, yeah, after that, it's gonna be all, like, Toronto versus TBD, um, so, yeah, I mean, we'll be watching it this weekend. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to the Breach playing again, see if they
Mhm.
hold up, you know?
Yeah, and these are just like you said, they haven't promoted any hype around it. To me, these are just qualifier matches again.
Right,
It's
right,
like,
right.
okay, cool. Like whoever wins this minor, it's not going to count for. I mean, it's going to count for points, right? Like you're going to get more points. That's why they're
Right,
important.
right,
But it's just an elevated qualifiers match.
right.
So if Breach win this whole thing, I mean, cool. But like, this is not a championship. It's
No,
points to get your seeding for champs.
right.
You know, like I won't be upset if Breach win. You know, like that's awesome because now they're gonna look good going into Major One. But
Mhm.
even then, too, like, dude, the not just Breach, but the whole CDL format in general right now, it's so weird and like iffy. Like, no promotions about majors. Uh, like you said, there's just so much negativity.
The
Uh,
team skins got dropped out of nowhere,
yeah,
like, it
like
felt like that to me,
yeah,
you know?
and someone commented on Spotify again, and they were like, "Why do you think they're not promoting the CDL on the main menu when you open up Black Ops 6?" Dude, I don't know. Because you're right. They should. Like, or at least in ranked play. Like if you click into ranked play, you should at least see like, oh, the minor's coming up, you know? Or like this major's gonna be this date. And or at least when a major's coming around, it should be promoted like right when you open it up, and it shows like all the ads of buy
Right.
this skin and like whatever, like, oh, underneath or something, say, major one for Call of Duties in Madrid.
Yeah, I think they did do that in other CODs,
Yeah.
you know? But it's same thing, it's inconsistent. It's like some CODs you have it in there, and or like the one that they always do is like, "Oh, Champs is coming."
Yeah.
It's like, "Okay, bro, that's one event." Like, what about all the other events? Like you said, they should have that right when you go into Call of Duty being like, uh league qualifiers week 3 is live, twitch.tv or no, not Twitch, sorry, YouTube. Go to YouTube. I don't want the Twitch people coming after, right? It's like go to YouTube and pull it up, or scan the QR code to go get these rewards and stuff. And they would do that, periodically, but just inconsistent with it. It's like, dude, this is a huge part of the game. In my eyes, it's a big part having the pro scene. But they don't treat it like it is. And for whatever reason, I have no idea. Maybe again, they just thinking of Activision, they probably just don't even care about it that much because it's like, what is this? Like, is it making us any money? No. Okay. Like,
Yeah, because
it-
this
we
is
got we
true.
got Squid Games to go push, boss.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's
Like
what we got to go push.
this is Treyarch. Treyarch cares about competitive. They've always cared about competitive. So the fact there's nothing in here for it yet, like I don't get it. And yeah, I mean all the stuff people are commenting, they're not wrong,
Right.
and we don't understand either. This stuff should be in the game, but it's not. And you and I, we always try to find like the positive things, like out of all these games. Even Vanguard fucking sucked, and like there's still some good things
Right.
within that game. But yeah, there's just a lot of negativity. People just don't
Yes.
they don't like when you and I enjoy a COD, or not just you and I, when anyone enjoys like a Call of Duty. Like God forbid I say that I enjoyed MW2 like rank play a little bit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You
You're right.
enjoyed rank play? Though, okay,
Yeah.
those MW
Heresy.
those MW2 rank play maps are better than what we have now in ranked.
Facts. Facts.
Like,
Yeah, bro. Put me on El Asilo any day, bro.
yeah, like
Like put me at the tower. I'm fucking holding that down.
put me
You
in
know?
hotel.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Like those, yeah. Again, it's just in a tough spot. I don't really know what to say on it. I will make that the question. Are you are you still enjoying this con? Yes or no?
yeah,
Because I mean, again, we are, but man, like we have a negative episode, but man, it's what you got to do. Like, this is seriously like it's a big topic that's going around with this game. right now, and we obviously offer our perspective on it. We don't agree with it, but it's not that we saying like, oh, hackers aren't a problem. It's like, okay, for us, but we're two people out of the millions of people that play the game. Like, don't get it twisted. Totally understand that it's a real problem in the game. But this is just our experience. Like, I'm only speaking for myself, and you are for yourself. So other people out there thinking that we're delusional, being like, dude, the game's great. Like, I don't get it. It's like, dude, we're not saying that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're very open-minded players. We've been playing for a long time. We
Yeah.
we know the good things of COD and we know the bad things.
And there's a lot of bad things right now for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Definitely a lot of bad things.
we hope that they fix it sooner rather than later. They're just gonna keep having these problems, and then they're gonna be like, Black Ops 7.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
rid
yeah,
Are you ready for this, Woods?
yeah.
He's not in a wheelchair anymore. I'm like, come on, dude.
We're gonna be playing it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
But they're like, if they say like we've got an anti cheat that's actually working, like, but then the people, maybe Nate Shot and those
mhm,
guys will like be like, okay, what now?
yeah, yeah. And like the fact that we've played through multiple CODs that were like, and like Vanguard was by far the worst one I think that like we've played through
Yeah,
because we couldn't get into a fucking game. Like
yeah,
we
it was
couldn't
so
even
bad.
play that game.
Matchmaking was terrible.
Yeah, and we still found positive stuff out of that game. But, you know, all the trolls, whatever, in the comment sections, like you guys to keep arguing, but it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter if you don't like that we like the game or whatnot. The people that I respond to, respond to everyone on Spotify first of all, because the majority of people I would say that comment on their stuff actually want to have a conversation, which I appreciate because that's the whole point, right? Like
right,
it's not, wow, you're really bad. Stop posting. What the fuck? Like that doesn't do
right.
anything. The whole point is for all of us to talk about this.
Yeah, it's good to hear from other people because, you get a lot of times you get kind of wrapped up in your own realm of like how you perceive a game and what you think about. And you may be going into that game, and this is like beyond COD with, just you go into a game with blinders on. And then when you start talking to other people about the game and you gain a different perspective on it. I think a lot of people don't do that. They just, they only think about their opinion, and that's what matters. Like against my point, that does only matter at the end of the day is what you think about it. But it is important too to get an idea of what other people are dealing with. Especially like when what we do when we're talking about the game all the time, we can't say this is the best COD ever, and be speaking for everybody else because that's just not true. It's not the best. But if we're going to be saying just our experience on this game and what we've dealt with, you know, then that's a different story. But when you hear from these other people who are not streamers and they're just regular people and they're like sharing their levels or they're talking about, you know, how ranked like their experience is, it's either really good or it's horrendous. Um, it makes you think like, damn, this really is like that big of a problem. It's
Mhm.
not as small of a problem as just what exists on, the Twitter timeline. It's like, it's a huge problem.
Yeah, and people just, I mean, they see one thing and they hop on the bandwagon immediately
Right.
all the
Right.
time. So it's like,
That's what people always do.
you can if you want, but we're here to talk about
Yeah.
everything, and
Think for
our
yourself
experience.
too.
Yeah. I'd like to think you and I, we speak about our own experiences, but we also see the bigger picture and
Right.
the other people's sides in Call of Duty. So, I mean, yeah, the comment sections, like we're open to having an actual conversation, not
Right.
you guys are trash. Like
Right.
I don't care. Okay.
Give us some constructive criticism. Give us an actual talk here. We're not trying to just listen to you say, shut the fuck up. I'm like, okay, bro.
Yeah. Well,
I've heard
and
that a few thousand times in my life.
yeah, especially too where like you and I are the gamers of our friend group. I don't have like any other friends that game, like actually game.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure
No, I
there are
don't
people
either.
that listen to this too where they may be the only gamer in their friend group or they don't
Right.
have a big friend group to like game with.
Right.
Um so how yeah, like you got to like listen to other perspectives to see if oh maybe you do want that game or not.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, well we'll end it with that some
Yes.
somewhat positive
Right. Ended on a good note there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, again, let us know seriously, like, in the comments, like we appreciate all the people on Spotify and same thing on Instagram and TikTok. Let us know what you guys are thinking about it. Are you still playing the game? Are you still enjoying the game? Or, have you totally faded away from it? Um, I'd be really curious to know. I always like when people answer that stuff.
yeah. Me too. And we're always responding. So
Yes.
like, definitely comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're also on anchor.fm/COD Casuals, which is where we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the other streaming platforms. So go over there, give us a listen, 5-star rating, because it does help us out a ton. And we do appreciate that. And we're Instagram, TikTok.
Yes.
We're always posting there every single week. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, go over there and
Yes.
give us a couple listens, and comment down below on all those.
And we hope by next week that you're feeling better.
Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully a more positive episode.
Yes.
No more hackers.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think that's everything.
That's it, bro.
Yeah, thank you everyone. This has been episode 204 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.